France in the late 1700s was a land of striking contrasts. The disparity between the rich and the poor was glaringly evident. On one side you had the opulent estates of the wealthy, adorned with every luxury imaginable. On the other, the peasants lived in abject poverty, struggling to make ends meet. The king and queen lived in luxury. Their palaces were filled with gold, fine art, and exquisite furniture. They enjoyed the finest foods and wines, and their every whim was catered to by a legion of servants. They spent lavishly on parties and jewels. Grand celebrations were a regular occurrence, with no expense spared. Meanwhile, the people starved. The common folk could only watch from afar, their bellies empty and their hearts full of despair. Bread, the staple food, was scarce and expensive. The price of bread had skyrocketed, making it unaffordable for many. Market stalls were often empty, and the little food that was available was beyond the reach of the poor. The French society was divided into three estates. The first estate was the clergy, the second estate was the nobility, and the third estate comprised everyone else, including peasants, artisans, and merchants. The first estate, the clergy, enjoyed vast wealth and privilege. They owned large tracts of land and collected tithes from the people. Their influence was immense, both spiritually and politically. The second estate, the nobility, also lived lives of ease. They held high positions in the government and military, and their estates were symbols of their power and status. They paid little to no taxes, further burdening the common people. The third estate, everyone else, bore the brunt of taxation and had no voice. They worked tirelessly, yet their efforts were never enough to lift them out of poverty. Their frustrations grew as they saw no end to their suffering. New ideas were sweeping through Europe. The Enlightenment brought forth concepts of reason, equality, and justice. These ideas began to take root in the minds of the French people, offering a glimmer of hope. The Enlightenment emphasized reason, individual rights, and limits on government power. It challenged the traditional structures of authority and proposed a society based on merit and fairness. Thinkers like Voltaire and Rousseau challenged the absolute authority of kings. They argued for freedom of speech, separation of church and state, and the social contract. Their writings inspired many to question the status quo. These ideas resonated with the struggling French people. They began to dream of a society where they could have a say in their own governance, where justice and equality were not just ideals, but realities. The seeds of revolution were being sown. King Louis XVI, facing a severe financial crisis, called a meeting of the Estates General, a decision that would set the stage for monumental change. This assembly, meant to advise the king on matters of state, had not convened for an astonishing 175 years, highlighting the gravity of the situation. The Third Estate, representing the vast majority of the population, saw this rare assembly as a golden opportunity for significant change and reform. They demanded sweeping reforms, including fairer taxes, more equitable representation, and an end to the privileges enjoyed by the nobility and clergy. However, their pleas and demands were repeatedly ignored by King Louis and the privileged estates, who were reluctant to relinquish their power and status. Frustrated and feeling marginalized, the Third Estate took a bold step. They declared themselves the National Assembly, asserting their right to represent the people of France. With determination and a sense of justice, they vowed to draft a new constitution for France, one that would ensure liberty, equality, and fraternity for all citizens. This act of defiance was a direct challenge to the king's authority and marked the true beginning of the French Revolution, a movement that would change the course of history. The people, united and resolute, would no longer be ignored. Their voices would echo through the annals of history, igniting a revolution that would inspire generations to come. The spirit of rebellion spread like wildfire. On July 14, 1789, a Parisian mob stormed the Bastille. This fortress, a symbol of royal tyranny, held political prisoners and a large cache of weapons. The fall of the Bastille was a turning point. It showed the world the power of the people. It inspired uprisings across France. Peasants attacked the homes of nobles, demanding an end to feudal dues and obligations. Bastille Day, forever etched in history, became a symbol of the French Revolution. It represented the overthrow of oppression and the fight for liberty. Section 4. A new France is born. The National Assembly, emboldened by the revolution's success, abolished feudalism. They adopted the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. This document, inspired by Enlightenment ideals, proclaimed the equality of all men, freedom of speech, and the right to resist oppression. The monarchy was abolished. France became a republic. Louis XVI and his queen, Marie Antoinette, were tried for treason and executed. The revolution had claimed its most prominent victims. France was undergoing a radical transformation. The old order was crumbling. A new era, based on the principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity, was dawning. Section 5. Terror grips the nation. The revolution took a dark turn. Fearing counter-revolutionary threats, the Jacobins, a radical faction, seized control. Led by Maximilien Robespierre, they unleashed the Reign of Terror. Thousands were deemed enemies of the revolution and executed. Anyone suspected of disloyalty, from aristocrats to peasants, could be sent to the guillotine. Fear and paranoia gripped the nation. The Reign of Terror, though brutal, aimed to safeguard the revolution from internal enemies. It ultimately consumed itself. Robespierre himself was overthrown and executed, marking the end of this bloody chapter. Section 6. A general rises. Out of the chaos of the revolution emerged a new leader, Napoleon Bonaparte. Born on the island of Corsica, Napoleon quickly rose to prominence due to his keen intellect and military prowess. His ambition and strategic mind set him apart from his peers. A brilliant military strategist, Napoleon rose through the ranks of the army. His early victories in Italy and Egypt showcased his tactical genius and earned him the admiration of both his troops and the French public. His ability to inspire and lead was unparalleled. He seized power in a coup d'état, ending the French Revolution. This bold move, known as the Coup of 18 Brumaire, marked the beginning of his rule. Napoleon's leadership brought stability to a nation in turmoil. Napoleon, though a dictator, preserved some of the revolution's reforms. He introduced significant changes that modernized France, including educational reforms and infrastructure improvements. His vision extended beyond mere conquest. He implemented a new legal code, the Napoleonic Code, which promoted equality before the law. This code became a foundation for legal systems worldwide, emphasizing merit over birthright and ensuring civil liberties. He spread the ideas of the revolution through his conquest, sparking further change across Europe. His campaigns reshaped the continent, dismantling old regimes and inspiring movements for independence and reform. The French Revolution had come to an end, but its impact was far from over. The ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity continued to resonate, influencing future generations and political landscapes. Napoleon's rise marked the beginning of a new chapter in European history. His legacy, both as a military genius and a reformer, left an indelible mark on the world, shaping the course of nations and the destiny of millions. Section 7. The Revolution's Legacy. The French Revolution, despite its tumultuous course, left an indelible mark on France and the world. It ended feudalism, challenged absolute monarchy, and spread the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. The revolution's legacy is complex. It showed the power of the people to overthrow tyranny, but also the dangers of unchecked revolutionary fervor. It inspired movements for democracy and human rights worldwide. The French Revolution remains a pivotal event in history, a reminder that even the most entrenched systems of power can be challenged and changed. Its echoes can still be felt today in the ongoing struggle for freedom and equality.